one of the best flights I've been on because I didn't feel like my eyes were burning out of my head by the end of it of looking at a screen,
So true.
I just think that mental stimulation of doing a crossword puzzle or reading a magazine was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting right next to you. I watched 4 movies. My eyes were so dry
You
and
were like
wet.
bloodshot.
I know my eyes were smoking right next to you while you're trying to be healthy and read something. Welcome to Stuff That We Like / Enjoy, at least at this point in time. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Christina.
And today,
I will be asking Caleb, what is something that you like / enjoy, at least at this point in time?
I forgot something.
What?
What's your contentment level? Scale 1 to 10.
My contentment level?
Yeah.
Oh, 8, 7.5.
8?
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. Maybe 7.75.
What's contributing to that, do you think?
In a good way or bad?
Yeah, in a good way.
Well, in a good way, I slept really well last night. The sun is shining.
Man.
You.
To be you. That's awesome.
Married to you.
That's so nice.
The house is clean.
Yeah.
Good things.
That's awesome.
I guess, yeah.
I love it. So
Thank
an
you.
8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What's your contentment level?
Probably like a 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty decent
Pretty
for you.
high. Yeah, pretty high for
What's
me.
contributing to that?
I don't have to work today. It's Sunday. We're just relaxing, recording a podcast together.
Sunday fun day.
Sunday fun day. That feels good. So, yeah,
Nice.
there we go.
Cool. You just went for a long run.
I did. Yeah.
You made it home.
I made it home. Hip didn't hurt too bad, so we're feeling good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Still sweaty, even though I took a shower. That probably brought me down to a 6, if I'm
There
honest.
we go. That happens. Yeah. You could put a little air freshener over there.
Slows me down.
Nice. All right. Well, let's hop into what your topic of interest is today.
Great. So my topic is the question of, is screen time quietly stealing your good days?
Why are you saying that? You said that so pointedly to me.
Before we started the podcast, I told Christina I had a topic for her today. And this is it. It's not, I want to, in all kindness, just love on you through knowledge. It's good for both of us because I'm not referring specifically to phone. I'm referring to you made me snort. I'm referring specifically to like all screens.
Okay. All screens.
All screens.
What screens do you think I was interpreting?
All screens matter.
All screens matter. They do. Unless they don't.
That's true. I guess not all screens matter.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Old screens don't matter.
Not anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. We can agree on that. No
Yeah.
CRTVs.
Yep.
CRTs? CRTs. Anyways.
CCTV.
CCTV is different.
Yes. But the things that were shown, the CCTV was shown on, don't matter.
Yes.
Yes. This reminds me of a story.
Okay.
So when I did missions in Paraguay, I was forced to go to a hospital by my leaders to get a yellow fever immunization vaccination shot. And they told me I would not be allowed to leave the country unless I did. And that was false, but I forgive them. But anyways, we lined up. They took us to this hospital at like 7 a.m. and there was a line like 3 blocks long, like several hundred people. So then they drove us to another place that had a shorter line. And literally I walked into a room the size of a cubicle with 2 little short Paraguayan chubby men sitting there watching a soccer match on a TV that was probably a 10-inch screen, full like square back. Mm-hmm. And they popped open a cooler, pulled out a vaccine tube, swabbed my shoulder, shot me, handed me a paper. And I walked out and I was like, this might be the last day I live on Earth. And so that screen does not matter.
Yes, we can agree that screen doesn't matter.
Yes, and I got violently sick about 4 hours later.
Man.
I almost passed out. But here I am today.
Look at that. Yeah. Thanks to those 2 old men.
No.
And that soccer game.
No thanks to them.
Where would we be without them? Probably a lot healthier.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so what is screen time addiction?
Great. Tell me.
The closest definition I could find online is when your use of screens, phones, computers, TVs, tablets, and gaming consoles shifts from a tool or form of entertainment into a compulsive habit you can't easily control. Moving on, the history of the topic. While screen addiction feels like a modern problem, concern about it started in the late 20th century with television.
Oh.
Psychologists in the 1970s and 80s were already noting TV depression, where people felt isolated and lethargic after prolonged watching. The real spike came with smartphones around 2007. Our screens stopped being stationary objects and became permanent fixtures in our hands. By the 2010s, studies were emerging linking heavy smartphone usage with rising depression rates, especially in teens. I feel like I've heard that before. Have you heard that before?
Depression rates? Oh, for sure. Yes. Yeah. I think they can link it directly to how much time you spend like on social media specifically.
Yeah, specifically in teens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huge spike there. So a couple facts about this topic. Using screens a lot is a bit of a dopamine hijacker. So apps are actually designed to mimic slot machines, like in a casino. And you can use the example of social media that gives you random rewards like comments, notifications, likes, that keeps you hooked. So over time, your brain's reward system starts to change, making normal life feel dull. This is interesting because I'd never thought of it this way. Like Instagram as a slot machine, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
It's all random.
Pull down, refresh, new bunch of stuff.
Yeah. New notifications, new likes, new comments. And since handling social media, a little bit of the social media for this podcast and another podcast that we do, I've noticed a lot more like the kind of dopamine I'm getting when I look at what's going on with our social media feed. It's like, oh, we got a comment, we got a like. It's so crazy. Yeah. But it is a lot like a slot machine. It's just random and it's colorful and it's bright and you feel good when it happens. And so I never made that connection before. Wow.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So you said they're designed to kind of mimic that kind of concept of a slot machine.
Yes. And I think it makes sense. I think slot machines were around before cell phones.
Yeah. Definitely they were.
Yeah. It makes sense that you do something that's addicting to make something else addicting.
Yeah. If it works, keep it going. Just
Absolutely.
put it in somebody's hands wherever they're at.
Yeah. Another fact is that is one that we all know. It's blue light disruption. Screen light tricks your brain into thinking it's daytime. So it delays melatonin release and it wrecks your sleep, which is directly tied to mental health, which I think is probably more of the leading cause of depression in teens is the amount of time they're using it in the evenings and early mornings.
Yes, definitely.
Because that really does mess with your mental health when you're tired. I mean, I know I'm not myself when I haven't.
At 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then when I didn't get enough sleep because my brain thought the sun was still out and I was supposed to be up doing things, the next day I'm totally ruined.
Very interesting. Yeah, no, I think that, bright screens definitely can affect you. I'd be interested to know the exact science of how much blue light affects you because we usually watch like a YouTube video or something before bed.
Yeah.
Most nights. And I sleep what I think is well. But I've heard you're supposed to like stop looking at screens like 45 minutes to an hour before going to bed. I can't say that I ever do that. And so maybe if we did, we'd sleep even better. I don't know.
For sure.
So it'd be interesting to know what percentage of the depression that it causes is as a result of just being on social media or reading things on the internet or because of the blue light. Like if you're reading the Bible or something on your phone before bed, I would feel like that'd be less disrupting than something else.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably has something to do with the growth that's happening in the brain at that time too for a teen.
Oh, definitely.
Like to look at that screen late at night and then wake up, have your brain trying to be growing to its full size, and then also go to school for 8 hours?
Yeah.
And try to stay awake because you didn't get enough sleep the night
Yeah.
before, and you look at your phone early that morning.
Yeah. And so much of school nowadays for high schoolers is done on tablets, on screens, their homework is. So you're just looking at screens most of the day.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point that it's a lot of like social media as well.
Yeah.
Just like the cause of I'd say a good portion of the depression. I hadn't thought of that before, but the constant comparison could be really unhealthy.
Definitely.
And that's actually our next fact. It's called the comparison trap. So social media fuels constant comparison to curated highlight reels, which can trigger feelings of inadequacy and depression. And I was talking to a friend last night. We were shooting a wedding together, and he told me he'd been off social media for about 3 years.
Wow.
Because his friends had gotten rich back home where he was from, and they had all bought into Bitcoin early, and so it was kind of just like a freak accident.
And
rather
it wasn't
than
like they
just
did
skill.
much for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some skill involved in that, but he said that it was so difficult to live his life knowing that he was friends with a bunch of millionaires at that point that he had to stop comparing himself through social media or what was being put on social media.
Right.
So he got rid of it, and he's like, it improved everything in his life. He was talking about
Crazy.
sleep, how he relates to people, how he relates to himself.
Yeah. Probably overall satisfaction with life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that even if you aren't friends with millionaires, you always fall into that trap of comparison.
Definitely.
Despite like whatever feed you're looking at, you're going to constantly compare. Oh, they have a Sprinter van that they travel in, and we don't have a Sprinter van that we travel in. And God, I want that so bad. And guess what? Well, you just took your own life and your satisfaction with it down a peg.
Yes. Yeah.
And you just subconsciously did that. Even though you're not looking at millionaires or friends that you know
Sorry.
that are wealthy or doing better than you, you're constantly comparing yourself to ads and people living the quote unquote ideal life that you'd want to live. So it's dangerous. And I can see how that affects people's satisfaction in life, and especially young adults and teens. Yeah.
Wow. That's good. That's cool. Just like a real life example of how it affected his life so positively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last fact is one of social displacement. So hours online reduce face-to-face interactions, which are essential for emotional regulation and happiness. And like I said earlier, in the 1970s and 80s, they were already noting TV depression from people feeling isolated and lethargic after prolonged watching of TV. And now it's so much easier to just not go outside of your house. In fact, it's almost praised.
Exactly.
If you don't go into public and you're just kind of like a bookworm, or you just want to be at home. It's like, I'm a homebody. That's almost an award that we put, or a little badge we put on our shirts.
Yeah, like,
these days.
I don't need people.
Yeah.
I'm enjoy my own life. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And that actually messes with our emotional regulation, because you need face-to-face interaction with people to regulate yourself emotionally.
So true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow. Yeah. I was talking to my dad the other day about this article I had sent him, or we texted a little bit about it, about how the elderly, as they get older, a big key to them living longer is social interactions. And so often the elderly, when they retire, they have less and less face-to-face interactions, and it's not uncommon for them just to sit and watch TV for 8+ hours a day. And those people tend to live shorter lives and less happy lives while they're alive.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think that old people would be doing in nursing homes if we didn't have TV?
I think reading books. I think going out to, nursing homes have like activities all day long where you can go to the little seated wheelchair workout class with your little 1-pound dumbbells. There's bingo, like just going to the facilities that my dad has directed for the last 20, 30 years. I've seen just different activities that they have for them. And they also have like group communal areas where you can just wheel yourself out in a wheelchair and just talk to your other residents. So I think that if there wasn't a TV in their room, they might be more prone to do that.
I think so, for sure. Yeah, I wonder what that effect would be. Because your dad was telling me when he first started, he would take him on field trips. And he wasn't the first to do that, but he did it a lot more than the people who had been there before him.
Yes.
And it seemed to have a really positive effect on older people just to get out of the nursing home itself, let alone away from a TV.
Exactly. Yeah, because most nursing homes or assisted livings, their field trips are like going to Walmart or something like that. And my dad he was the activities director at the time, and he would like take a van up to like Estes Park and have them ride dog sleds and
That's
like
so cool.
push them around lakes in the mountains. And like just, I think it really added so much to their quality of life.
And honestly, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to die doing. You know, something adventurous or cool or
Right.
like on an outing rather than just sitting in a nursing home
For the last 10
waiting
years
to
of your
die.
life. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For sure. Do you think that you would rather be in a nursing home or just walk into the woods before you were too disabled for that?
I don't think I'd ever want to just walk into the woods. Hopefully I would be able to be at home and like you'd be around and take care of me.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Totally. Yeah. I got you.
Lesser, those are both two horrible options.
They are two horrible options for sure. Well, I don't know.
Your
definitely
mom
think
always says she's just going to walk off into the woods,
yeah,
right?
she's just like, on a cold winter morning, just let me loose in the woods.
Yes.
You know, just when I lose my mind, we're like, Mom, we can't legally do that.
No.
You're going to send us to prison for the rest of our lives.
Elder abuse, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I might die before you because I lived a much unhealthier lifestyle
There we go.
earlier on. So
We'll go together like in
The Notebook, your favorite movie.
one of my least loved movies of all time.
Okay, so some practical advice on how to reduce screen-induced depression. Number 1, set screen-free zones. Man, I sound like a parent right now. It's a screen-free zone. We're not doing screens for the next 4 hours. So bedrooms, dining tables, and mornings before 9 a.m. should be screen-free. So no phones, no TV or computer, just to help your body regulate and wake up and actually start your circadian rhythm in a correct way. Not just looking at your phone, but like getting outside.
Yeah.
I think that's helpful. It's a good tip. Number 2 is to use grayscale mode. I think all iPhones and then most smartphones have grayscale mode, but it removes color from your phone and reduces its addictive pull.
You used to do that, right?
Yes.
Did it help?
It did.
Okay.
Definitely did help.
Yeah.
It's easy to turn off grayscale mode.
Right.
It's just
so
like
you're just like, okay,
a single
tap
button.
a couple buttons.
But it was a valiant effort.
Yes, good job.
And then the next tip is to replace, don't just remove. So if you cut screen time, replace it with outdoor time, physical movement, reading, or in-person conversations. This is an important fact about addiction in general, is that it also always has to be replaced with something.
Yes.
You have to move that addiction to something that's healthy or something that's benefiting your life, because it doesn't just go away. That addiction's feeding something that you need,
Yes.
but just in the wrong way. So like it says here, get some outdoor time, physical movement, reading, or in-person conversations. I would probably recommend in-person conversations, honestly.
Yeah.
It's the hardest to get these days, but
Yeah.
probably the best. The next tip is to schedule a digital detox or schedule specific digital detox hours. So pick 1 to 2 hours a day when you're fully offline. And the last tip is to track your usage. So awareness is half the battle. Apps like Digital Wellbeing or Screen Time can help, but most people have a monitor on their phone that lets them know how much screen time they're using these days, which is pretty cool. I like that.
It's pretty alarming as well.
Yeah, because you can come back and be like, you averaged 7 hours this last week every day.
Yes, yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. I had a friend in college who would average 8 to 10 hours a day.
8 to 10?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
How do you get anything done?
Well, and it was even while we were on missions trips, and he was like, "Yeah, it's like eight hours a day or whatever, 8 to 10 hours." And I'm like, he'd be on his phone a bit while we're all hanging out, but he would we'd get done for the night, and then he'd be on his phone till 2 a.m. just for 4 or 5 hours. So that's how he's racking it up. So he's just not sleeping very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Dang.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So some closing thoughts. I personally struggle a lot with screen time when it comes to computer and movies. Like my job is basically on the computer at this point.
Yeah.
And movies are right there on the computer with me. So I'll like watch a movie while I'm editing a video or something. And so this is a good like check-in for me to not be on the computer before like 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't have to be specifically 9 a.m., but whenever you wake up, wait a period of time before you get on a screen. And I think I need to elongate that time between waking, getting on that screen.
Yes.
And also spend a couple hours without screens completely, because I'll usually get done with work, go out into the front room, eat something and watch a movie with you or watch a show. And it's like more screen time.
Yes.
And I don't want that to be my life. I want to have those 1 or 2 hours that's just totally free of that, and kind of want to see how it's going to change me. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I would say for me too, like I'm doing school full time right now, and it is 95% online. I'm looking at screens. Like we have, even most of our books are in articles are all just online. And then for work, part of that's online. Researching for the podcast, so much is on a screen. I think that for me, cutting out the time I look at social media or like kind of just extra stuff would be helpful, because like I can't not do school online, or if we're researching for a podcast on screen time, you're probably not going to go drive and buy a book on it and read it.
Totally.
So there's definitely benefits to, the internet, which we view through screens, but I think we've definitely overused it. Yeah, I saw this post the other day on X of this guy's like, I wake up and I look at a small screen. I get out of bed and I go to work and I look at a medium screen for 8 hours, except for the small breaks I take to look at my small screen.
Yeah.
And I go home and I sit in front of a big screen. And I get in bed and I look at a small screen and fall asleep, and I do it over again.
That's so crazy.
It's like so true.
Yeah. And we don't even think about our posture these days. Yeah. Like the amount of time that we spend on screens is actually affecting our body.
Yes.
Like long term. And that's not just one person. That's the whole world.
Yes.
We're all hunched over because of screens. And before we had phones, before we had cell phones and computers to look at all day, people just like looked around.
Yeah.
Their heads were up, their necks were fine, their shoulders were back for the most part. Unless they're reading, I guess.
Right. But even then, you can hold a book up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like flat on your desk laptop looking down at it.
But I was just thinking about that today because I was at a coffee shop and I was like hunching over, and I looked over and there's like 4 other people on laptops just hunched over. And I was like, oh my God, these things have physically changed us.
Yes.
As a world.
Yeah.
That's a crazy thing for something
so
to
true.
happen. It's just like the physical alteration of a body because of a product.
Yes.
So, this is a crazy realization I had today.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm thinking about a time when like a segment of time when I didn't look at a screen. It's when we were flying back from Europe last fall. We had a 9-10 hour flight, and I was in a ton of pain. Like I'd blown up my knee, and I had a crossword puzzle book, and I didn't watch a movie for the entire 10 hours. I did crossword puzzles and read magazines because I needed to my mind to be distracted more than just looking at a screen because I was in so much pain. And that was like, even though I was in pain, one of the best flights I've been on, because I didn't feel like my eyes were burning out of my head by the end of it, of looking at a screen,
So true.
I just think that mental stimulation of doing a crossword puzzle or reading a magazine was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting right next to you. I watched 4 movies. My eyes were so dry and
You're
red.
like bloodshot.
I know, my eyes were smoking right next to you while you're trying to be healthy and read something.
Right. Then we get off and we find out that we're going to miss our flight, and you about have a complete meltdown.
Oh my gosh, so mad.
And I'm like, understandable. Your brain's just so cluttered.
Absolutely. Yeah, that probably paid into that a ton. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a great point.
Cool.
Well, that's my topic.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you have any myths to bust connected to your topic?
Yeah. I guess we'll head over to myth time.
Myth time.
Okay. So my myth that I'm going to bust is that screen time helps babies learn.
Oh.
The truth is, there's no evidence of any benefit of watching screens for children under the age of 2 years.
Totally.
So if your baby's crying because you turned off the TV and it's under 2 years old, don't feel bad.
Wow.
Nothing good was happening at all. So don't worry about it.
I love that.
Yeah.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to say it was myth
Busted.
I'd read a study about a year ago about how more people in the developed or Western world than ever are needing to wear glasses to see far away. And they've tied that to the increased amount of screen time in young children because they are spending more time than ever just looking at something that is on tablets 6 inches from their face or on a TV, that they're not growing up looking past anything.
Yeah.
They're like playing outside less than ever. They're in a school classroom. They're seeing as far as the whiteboard. And there's been schools in Japan that have like mandated kids like going out for recess and limiting screen time. And they've seen a drop in kids needing glasses.
Wow.
So literally your body adapts and forms based on, you know, your needs. And if they're like, oh, all you need to do is see 12 inches away, that's how your eyes will shape.
Absolutely.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I read something else that children are spending hours a day on tablets, like you're describing. And I was reading articles around the benefits of screen time. And they said that hours a day isn't helpful for a child, but exposure to tablets, exposure to media can be good for a kid. But they said the amount of time that they need to be exposed to it is about 10 minutes a day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 10 minutes a day rather than 2 to 3 hours on a tablet or watching TV or watching movies. And hey, man, I have a friend who he had an eye issue where one of his eyes was pointed the wrong direction and the other one was pointed forward. And so playing video games actually saved his eye because it made him focus on one thing. So there are strange benefits to media in some instances, but for a large part, children watching media is not normal.
That's true.
I'm not a dad. Like,
right. Yeah. I totally understand why parents have their kids watch media. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah, exactly. We can't fully have too much of an opinion.
Absolutely not. I'm not telling anybody how to raise their kids. I'm just saying it's kind of ridiculous how even I was raised with my parents being uninformed because this was such a new thing.
Right.
There was no research out there. And I was raised on like a lot of TV every single day. And then knowing the effects that it probably had on my brain now, it's just really interesting to think about how people these days, knowing the effects of it, continue to go about raising their kids with hours a day on a tablet, on a TV. And like I said, there's special instances where you need that. But for a large part, it's I don't know. It's just going to be interesting to see how these kids grow, what they grow up into.
That's true. Huh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say when me and my brother got DSs when we were like, I don't know, 12 and 14, maybe a little younger. And within a year, my mom's like, y'all's attention span is so much worse than it used to be. You know, she just noticed that. Yeah. And we were like a limited screen time kind of family, like an hour a day. And even that she could tell was affecting us.
Wow.
Yeah. Wild.
My mom tried to limit our screen time, but there were 7 of us. Like she couldn't find us sometimes. We were hiding away with our Game Boys or downstairs on the TV. Oh, for sure. The amount of times I snuck out to watch TV in the middle of the night because I wanted to.
That sounds like you.
Too many of us.
Love it.
Cool.
All right.
Myth time.
Well, myth time. Myths are busted.
Myths are busted. Hey, everybody. We started a company called Moodwave Media. A business partner of mine, but Christina's obviously part of it. We shoot videos for churches, nonprofits, and we love to work with any budget. So if you know a church or nonprofit that has any needs in those areas, hit us up at moodwavemedia@gmail.com. Moodwave also has a podcast called
Ecclesia
KC.
Did I say it wrong?
No, you got it.
Okay.
And that's where we have pastors and leaders of Christian nonprofits on, and we just let them have a platform to let the world know what they're doing. It's hard to get the word out about that stuff. So if you have a pastor or a leader of a Christian nonprofit that wants to get on the podcast, hit us up at moodwavemedia@gmail.com and we'll schedule you in.
Yeah, and it's great. And we've worked with a variety of churches, nonprofits, like homeless ministries, even Christian dance companies. So pretty much a very wide range. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're up on all socials too at Moodwave Media. We just put out our first podcast. We launched last Monday, but we put out our first podcast with Chris Ferguson of Lacine Christian Church. Go ahead and check that out and let us know what you think. We already have a couple lined up, so we'd love to get your pastor on.
Sounds good. And back to the episode.
We're going to move on to our next section, Forbidden Books of the Bible.
Woohoo.
This week we're focusing on the Book of Enoch, specifically chapters 12 through 24. Christina, do you want to pop off about 12 through 24?
Man, there's so much in it, and it's actually 13 through 24.
That's right,
because we did 1 through 12.
1 through 12.
It's all
right.
good.
You're right.
Yeah, do you have any thoughts you want to share first? You want me to?
I think you were just reading this before we started, and so why don't you pop off and then I'll jump in.
Cool. Well, I'll just do a little bit of a recap, and I'll try not to go too overly in depth. You literally could
you could spend hours.
Spend a couple hours on some of these sections, yeah. Especially connecting them to other biblical passages and thoughts and rabbit trails. Yeah, very fun. Okay, so just a recap from last week. Last week we covered chapters 1 through 12. In the first 5 chapters, the focus was on how all of creation has kept to its rightful order, like the stars and the moon and things like that, and that the righteous on the earth will live long lives filled with peace and joy, but the wicked will be punished. Mm-hmm. And then this is contrasted in chapters 6 through 9, where a group of watchers look down from heaven to earth and decide to leave their rightful place. And a group of 200 watchers descend to earth to marry human women, and they have children with these women who are called giants, or described as giants. The watchers also teach mankind how to make weapons, do astrology, and like enchantments and magic. And they even begin to like cannibalize and eat men and drink their blood. So chapters 9 through 11, the angels in heaven hear the cries of men on earth, like, help, things have gotten bad. And God instructs the angels to tell Noah about this great flood that's coming, and that all who are on earth will be destroyed, including the evil watchers and their giant children.
Yeah.
That the earth will be cleansed of all wickedness, but the righteous will survive the flood. And then we ended off with chapter 12, and it was talking about how Enoch is called upon by the watchers to declare judgment upon the bad watchers.
Mm-hmm. He was a scribe to copy down the Lord's judgment for the watchers and then take it to the watchers and tell them what was going to happen to them.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll just pop into, I'll kind of just go through. Some of these chapters are really long and others are quite short. So if you just want to pop in with thoughts you have.
For sure.
Cool. Yeah. So in chapter 13, Enoch is sent to one of the watchers who has rebelled against God, and he tells them, like, you're going to have no peace, that a sentence has gone forth against you, that you will be bound forever because of the unrighteousness that you have taught to mankind and the sin you've shown them. And we know what this severe sentence is because in chapter 10, God says to one of the other angels, like, bind up Azazel, throw him into the desert and bury him until the day of judgment, when he'll be cast into the fire. And I find this interesting that Azazel is bound because he, along with the other watchers before they came to earth, they bound themselves by a curse to like promise,
with an oath,
like as with an oath, that they're like, we will bind ourselves to this oath that we will, pretty much disobey God, and we're all going to do it together. Mm-hmm. And then God's like, well, you're going to be bound in the desert.
By physical ties.
By physical bounds.
Buried in the desert.
Until the day of great judgment, when you will be cast into the fire.
That's cool.
Probably shouldn't bind yourself by oaths and curses unless you're wanting to reap that.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting comparing this, like you're going to be bound and cast in the fire, to in Matthew 25, Jesus is speaking of the unrighteous, about the wicked. And he says, and God will also say to those on the left hand, depart from me, you cursed, into the everlasting fire prepared for the devil and his angels. So Jesus is talking there about this fire that's prepared for the devil and his angels. And in Enoch, Enoch's told, like, Azazel, you're going to be cast into the fire.
That's a cool comparison.
Yeah. Also in Revelation 20, it says that the devil who had deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire. As well as in Matthew 13, it says the Son of Man will send his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all who cause sin and all who are lawbreakers, and they will throw them into the fiery furnace.
Wow.
So lots of imagery throughout the Bible and in Enoch about how the righteous will be preserved and the wicked will
be bound and thrown into the fire.
Yeah, something you don't really want.
Yeah, it's cool how that reinforces it, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so he goes to the watchers, declares what's going to happen to them, what the Lord has said. And then later on, after he declares this, the watchers are struck with fear and trembling. And they had Enoch write a petition on their behalf, which plays into him being a scribe,
Yes.
a righteous scribe. So he writes a petition, or they petition him to write a petition on their behalf because of the judgment of their sins, and they want that judgment to be lessened.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting because it says that, like, the watchers, like, tried to, like, speak to God directly, but they were so ashamed because of their sin that they couldn't even, like, talk to God. And so they're like, hey, Enoch, you're righteous, so you can still talk to God.
Crazy.
So Enoch writes down their petition, and it's interesting because he goes off as he sits down at the waters of Dan in the land of Dan, south of Mount Hermon. And he reads the petition until he falls asleep. So either this was a really long petition or it was very boring or a little bit of both. But I found it interesting because in the context of where it's trying to tell us they are geographically, it seems that the watchers are at Mount Hermon, which is where they descended from.
Yeah.
So it's like they're trying to get back up to God. And so Enoch leaves them and he goes to the land of Dan, which is actually like the base of Mount Hermon. Where the snow and rains will melt off of Mount Hermon and feed these streams leading into the land of Dan. And in the ancient world, from many different religions, this area of the land of Dan, the base of Mount Hermon, was viewed as like a thin space spiritually between heaven and earth. And there's lots of different ancient sites that they've discovered built there that were altars or temples to different gods or religions, which is quite fascinating. So where this is all kind of taking place later on. And this is also where it's believed that the Mount of Transfiguration is.
Wow.
Many theologians believe that Mount Hermon was the mountain that Jesus went to where he was transfigured and revealed to his disciples, as well as the area where he declared the gates of hell will not prevail against his church. Many scholars think that it kind of happened in this land of Dan, Mount Hermon area.
Super cool.
Quite fascinating.
I wonder if it's like the atmosphere of the earth, you know how it gets degraded the more pollution that's near it. I wonder if it's because there's so much spiritual stuff going on up and down through Mount Hermon that the spiritual atmosphere became a little bit thinner. Yeah. I don't know. It's just a total random thought. Yeah. But
or just a lot of different religions and people like trying to, all in one place connect with their gods, So quite fascinating.
Nice.
So then Enoch wakes up from him falling asleep reading this petition. And while he was asleep, he had these wild visions. And so he goes to the watchers to tell them about these visions. And the watchers have now moved to a space in the book. It says between Mount Lebanon and Mount Sinar, Senir, Sinar. Which is also another word for Mount Hermon. Sinar is also used in the Bible. And in between these two mountain ranges in real life is an area called the Bekaa Valley. And there's the ruins of an ancient city in this area. It's a megalithic site called Baalbek. And megalithic means it's made out of massive stones, kind of like the Great Pyramids. And there's these sites all throughout the world where archaeologists have a hard time explaining how people from 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 years ago were able to move these massive stones to build these cities.
Like Stonehenge.
Kind of like Stonehenge. Like there's so many theories of how did they get these stones, which came from rock quarries hundreds of miles away, to this middle of this field in England. So yeah, in this area in between the Lebanon mountain range and Mount Hermon is an ancient site called Baalbek Valley. And so that is where Enoch went to talk to the Watchers. So some surmise that perhaps the Watchers kind of built this area. It was one of their places they lived. Who knows? So that's just kind of all out there, a little mild conspiracy. But I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
And he goes back to the Watchers because of his dream, and he reprimands the Watchers who fell. We're talking specifically about the Watchers on Earth.
Yep, the 200 who left heaven.
Yes. And he told them the dream. He was told in the dream he had to go back to the Watchers and reprimand them. So chapter 14, Enoch tells the Watchers on Earth that they will not be spared. And then he describes his vision of the throne room of God, which he went into in his dream. And this is said, this is a cool thing that Tim, the guy who wrote this commentary on Enoch, it said that this is said to have authenticated his story to the Watchers because they would already know what the throne room looked like. So he's going back to them, telling them, no, your request has been denied. Not only that, I'm going to further describe the judgments, and then I'm going to prove to you that I was up there because I'm describing what the throne room was like to you, which is, I think that's a really poignant point to make. It's just like, hey, I was there.
Fascinating, yes.
I know what you guys saw, and this is what's going to happen to you.
Very cool. Yeah. And so Enoch describes to the Watchers, first of all, he's like, hey, your petition was not granted. You will be judged. You knew what you were doing was wrong, and you're going to reap the consequences of it. And he has a visionary encounter that's much like John in the Book of Revelation, where he's not actually in heaven per se, but he's seen what things look like up there. And it's fascinating because there's so much language, it's quite detailed, that is so like prophecies in Revelation or Ezekiel. Enoch talks about, being brought up to heaven, and he sees walls built of crystal and floors made of crystal and glass. And there's lightnings and thunderings, and there's cherubim surrounding the throne. And and that fear comes upon him and he falls on his face, which we see many times throughout scripture whenever people are either have a heavenly encounter or see an angel.
Right. And it also has a description of the throne room that's very similar to the one in Daniel. It talks about, in Daniel, it talks about the thousands of people or angels standing before the throne and ministering to the Lord. And it's almost verbatim in Enoch, talking about the multitudes before the throne ministering to the Lord, which is a really cool kind of thing to find out.
Yes, it's quite fascinating. And it's interesting as we go throughout these chapters, Enoch will be like, I'm in a vision and I saw this. And then in the vision, I fell asleep and then it's like Inception.
It's Inception, very much so.
It's like a vision within a vision instead of a dream within a dream.
French horn blaring at certain points, just like an Inception.
And his language is very similar to like John in Revelation, Ezekiel, and Daniel, where he describes things as it's like this and it's like flames of fire. And it's because it's like he can't quite, he even says, I cannot describe to you its splendor and its extent. So it's kind of quite beyond human understanding.
Yeah.
But I liked the part where he's talking about he's brought into the throne room and he said the floor is of fire and around it are lightnings and thunderings. And he sees a lofty throne and there's wheels, burning wheels under the throne and cherubim surrounding it.
Yeah.
So we're kind of getting pictures of Ezekiel. It talked about a throne with many wheels. Revelation, there's cherubim surrounding the throne. and that streams of fire proceed from the throne, which is mentioned in the book of Daniel. Quite fascinating. And he sees what he calls the great glory, which is interpreted as likely being God. And it says that the Lord's clothing shone more brightly than the sun, and they were whiter than snow.
Yeah.
Which is mentioned in both Daniel and the book of Revelation.
Very, very close to what they described in Daniel and Revelation. I think chapter 15 is really where I started to kind of love what was being said, though, just because the interesting ideas that were happening. Do you have anything else on 14, or do you want to move on?
I mean, we can go for an hour on
Yeah,
this.
probably
So
good
I
to
better
move
not.
on.
Yeah.
So chapter 15, this is where the Lord describes his punishments of the watchers and their children, the Nephilim. So I'm going to read a little bit of Enoch chapter 15, and then there's a couple footnotes I want to highlight here, and you just feel free to jump in.
Great.
So Enoch chapter 15, verse 8, and now the giants who were produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and from the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin. They shall be they shall be evil spirits on earth, and the evil spirits shall they be called. So the footnote underneath the footnote underneath the chapter says, this is the origin of demons in Hebrew cosmology. In the New Testament, these evil spirits are called unclean spirits, and they are the same that are exorcised from the bodies of their human hosts by Jesus and his disciples. So in Enoch 15:11, it says, and the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst and cause offensive. And the footnote here says, the Nephilim, the unsanctioned hybrid offspring of the watchers, were cursed so that after death their spirits would become restless wraiths wandering the earth. Though disembodied, these spirits remain tormented by fleshly desires, eternally seeking to possess human bodies to satisfy their unending hunger and thirst. So, Nephilim, when they die, they don't have a place to go.
Right. Nephilim being the children of watchers and human women.
And human women.
The giants.
So they became what we call demons.
Yeah. It's very interesting, and to have that perspective.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not opposed to that interpretation.
No.
And you can kind of see that a little bit through scripture if you look at through those lens. Yeah. It's kind of interesting earlier on in chapter 15, because God is talking about, he's making it very clear to the watchers, like what they did wrong. And he was talking about watchers, they are spirit. Therefore, spirits are in heaven with God. Whereas man, they are flesh, and flesh live on the earth. And that he's made it so that humans can, be married and have more children, because humans die off, whereas spirits live on forever. So he's explaining this conundrum kind of like, well, you've created this hybrid of like humans and eternal spirits. And so he's going to kill off these giants, these Nephilim. So their flesh will die, but their spirits will remain.
Right.
Yeah.
You cannot be like destroyed.
Yeah.
Eternal beings. And so I love this point that this could be the demons that try to inhabit people's bodies, possess them. And Tim even ties in their fleshly desires of unending hunger and thirst.
Yes.
Like they're trying to inhabit and possess human bodies so that they can exercise their demonic desires on earth for flesh and pleasures and thirst. It even says earlier in Enoch that they started to eat human beings. Nephilim started to eat human beings because they couldn't be satisfied.
Yeah.
And that's what demons try to do to humans, is try to use them and possess them in order to satisfy their own desires, but they can't be satisfied.
Yeah.
So it's another really cool comparison, I think. And,
Fascinating.
and I'm not 100% sold that this is real.
Yeah.
But I think the idea is so, I don't know, it's so close to reality.
Yeah.
That it's really
this
interesting.
kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
to
And I feel
think
like
about.
it tracks with, I pulled up some other verses in the Bible One being Jesus is talking and saying that because people come to him, they're like, hey, what if like somebody gets married and their husband dies and they just keep getting married and, you know, they got 7 husbands, you know, when they are resurrected, you know, who's going to be their husband? And Jesus is saying in the resurrection, you know, spirits, your soul won't be married or given in marriage because you'll be like the angels in heaven. So he's talking to them as if they all know that the angels don't like get married.
Oh, interesting.
You know?
Yeah.
So that idea has to have come from somewhere. Huh. Unless this is, you know, the first thing. And they seem to be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. They don't, it's not recorded that they're like, what? Angels don't have angel babies?
Yeah, so true.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool. And then as well as, you know, the spirits of the dead Nephilim. We sound so insane talking about this.
For sure.
That's all right. We're not saying we believe all this.
No, we're not saying believe it.
Yeah.
We're just throwing it out
there.
We
might believe it. Probably believe it. I don't know. But in Matthew 12, Jesus is giving a parable and he says, when an unclean spirit is cast out of a person, it passes through waterless places, seeking rest, but it finds none. And then it says, I will return to the place which I came from. And when it comes, it finds the house empty, swept, and put in order. And then it goes and brings with it 7 other spirits more evil than itself. And they enter and dwell there. And the state of the person is worse than the first.
Yeah.
So it just kind of ties into this that these unclean spirits will, you know, they're always thirsting. They're always wanting a place to dwell.
Restless.
They're restless.
Seeking a human body to inhabit.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Yes.
So chapter 16, this one I don't have much on. It just says that Enoch tells the watchers and that the Lord declared that they will have no peace.
Yeah.
Basically continuing that theme of he rejected your proposal for lessened judgment.
Yeah. And he clarifies, like, you have taught men and women evil things. Like they taught them astrology and enchantments, war.
Vanity.
Yeah. So it's like, you're going to have no peace because you taught them ways to not have peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So chapter 17 and 18 kind of describe how Enoch is taken and shown to the ends of the earth, where there are heavenly hosts that are imprisoned because they, quote, transgressed the command of the Lord in their rising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite interesting because throughout, you see this throughout biblical scripture as well as like Jewish cosmology writings, and all of the ancient world viewed the stars and planets and the heavens as all being like spiritual beings. And so throughout these passages, they talk about, spiritual beings being like the stars and things like that. And he specifically mentions in this that he was taken to a place where there were beings who were like flaming fire, and when they wished, they could appear like men.
Crazy.
Very interesting. Yeah, so he's kind of brought through these areas, which it's. I'm going to read this passage. It reminds me of like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And the angels, like righteous watchers, good angels, are taking Enoch around, and it says they took me to the living waters and the fire of the west, which receives the setting of the sun. And I came to a river of fire, in which a fire flows like water and goes into a great sea. And I saw great rivers and great darkness and a place where no man or flesh walks. And I saw mountains in the darkness of winter and the place where all the waters of the deep flow. So I'm like, This is just very mystical.
It's so cool.
Yeah. It just reminds me of like the journey, in Lord of the Rings. And like we got some fiery Mount Doom, and we've got these like swamp darkness places and things like that.
I would be interested to know if J.R.R. Tolkien read the Book of Enoch and it inspired some of his writing.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So chapter 19, Uriel, who is one of the heavenly watchers who's taking Enoch around, tells Enoch that this is where those watchers who have slept with women shall be imprisoned. He's talking about the lake of fire that you described. Mm-hmm. And the women who slept with them shall become sirens.
Yes.
I have no idea what that means.
Totally. I literally put, what do we do with this information?
I have no idea.
Yeah. So pretty much the angel Uriel is saying like, hey, the the evil watchers, they're going to be imprisoned until the judgment day. There's this talk all throughout the book of Enoch of the great day of judgment when all will be judged.
Yeah.
And it's like, and side note, the women who married the watchers, their spirits have obviously been defiled and they will become like sirens.
Sirens. Like, does that mean a physical siren, like a wailing, or does that mean like a mermaid?
I know, like evil mermaids. Yeah.
What the heck?
So I looked up, like in the ancient world, sirens were just viewed as more like female demons or unclean spirits. Kind of the idea was that like they were specifically like the female version of that, and the rest were like male.
Wow.
I don't know. Kind of works. Okay. I don't know. But yeah, I just thought that was very strange. And that also leads to people believing, like, some people believe that these watchers came down and they just like
took women,
grabbed up 200 women and married them, which this is kind of leading to the idea of like, yeah, they decided to be in these marriages. Like they also sinned.
The women.
The women did. Mm-hmm. And, you know, this was an intentional choice.
Yes.
Therefore, they're getting judged also.
In chapter 20, it continues to name the watchers that remain in heaven, and they give their job descriptions.
Yeah.
So like Uriel, Gabriel, a couple different ones.
Yeah, I thought this was really interesting. And this seems kind of like an odd interjection into the narrative. But as you continue on, as Enoch is toured through heaven and hell and earth, different angels explain to him what they're seeing, and they're all tied to their roles. Mm-hmm. So 7 angels are described that Uriel is over the world and Tartarus, which is kind of the idea of hell.
Yeah.
Raphael is over the spirits of men. Raguel is over the world of the luminaries, which is what the 3rd section of the Book of Enoch's about. The angel Michael is over the best of mankind and over chaos, which is an odd combination.
Yeah.
Sarguel is over sinful spirits. So Michael's over the good ones and Sarguel's over the bad ones. The angel Gabriel is over paradise, serpents, and cherubim. Another interesting one. And then Remiel is over those who rise or will be resurrected. Honestly,
I just love that this introduces you to so many more characters than you thought would be like archangels or heavenly watchers. It's just like, I don't know. It's so fascinating to me. It's like reading a good Lord of the Rings book. You're like, oh my God, look at all these huge archangels that are going to help form this story.
Right.
And they just kind of dropped them all in this one chapter.
Yes. Yeah. It's very fascinating, especially if we're looking at this book through the lens of like, it's not canonical or inspired at all. Yeah. It was likely written in like 300 to 100 AD. And it kind of is standing up against Greek mythology and Roman mythology, who also had their different gods and beings who had different roles. And it's kind of like, here's like the good ones. Yeah.
Yeah. It could be that this is where they got the idea from for like the Greek gods. It was like, this god is over this, or that guy is over that. Yeah. That's very interesting.
Yeah. The study of ancient religions finds so many crossovers in, kind of retelling of known biblical stories in different perspectives.
Absolutely. Yeah. So chapter 21, Enoch, and I love this chapter, by the way. It's so really crazy. Good. So Enoch is shown a place he describes as chaotic. And he's never used that word before
and horrible.
Yes, chaotic and horrible. So it says this place has no heaven above or earth below, that it has pillars of descending fire, and you can't see where it descends to. There are 7 stars bound together into a mountain of fire. So Uriel, the same heavenly watcher that was talking to Enoch earlier, tells Enoch that this is a prison for angels.
Right.
And the stars that are bound are heavenly beings that have transgressed the commandment of the Lord. We get that same thing that we got in, I can't remember which chapter it was. Oh, it was in chapter 17. They transgressed the commandment of the Lord.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And it's cool because it's like, oh, Uriel's here with him. And we were just told in chapter before, he's the one who is over Tartarus, which was viewed in the ancient world as the waiting place for people who were going to be judged.
Totally.
And again, he's like, these 7 stars are bound together and judged. And the stars in the ancient world were viewed as spiritual beings or angels. And it's not saying there was only like 7 bad angels. 7 was also the number of completion, especially in Jewish cosmology. So he's kind of saying like the complete number of those who went against the Lord are going to be held in this place with great fire that he says is terrible to look on and is very fearful.
So crazy.
Yeah. And then Uriel's like, why are you afraid, Enoch? He's like, because this is a place of spectacle of pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So chapter 22, Enoch is shown another high mountain in the west with hollow places where the souls of men are collected after they die to await judgment. Uriel, who's still with him, describes to Enoch how the voice he hears crying out from one of the hollow places is Abel.
Well, yeah. Fascinating. It's actually Raphael.
Sorry, Raphael.
That's right. Which was the angel who was over the souls of the dead.
Look at that. Look at you doing all this extra work. That's awesome.
But yeah, and so he's like, hears these voices crying out from this hollow in this mountain. And he's like, what is it? And Raphael's like, it is the voices of those just like Abel who are crying out pretty much for there to be justice and recompense on their behalf. And further on, Enoch's like, so what are the other 3? Why are there 4 separate holding places?
Yeah, within the mountain.
Yeah, and Raphael explains that they are, these hollows are for 4 different kind of holding places for the souls until they're judged. And one is for the righteous souls. So that would have been like Abel, who was murdered without cause. He was a righteous person. The other place is for sinners who are judged in life. So people who were like, punished for their sins. Maybe they murdered somebody, they were put in prison. Then the victims of sinners, which that could be as well, maybe where the soul of Abel is crying out for justice. And then the unrighteous sinners. So unrepentant people who will be judged as well. And this all sounds a bit, mystical in like our modern day understanding of like, if you believe in Jesus, you are saved. And when you die, you go to heaven, or vice versa, hell. Whereas in the ancient world, in Jewish customs, and I believe even Judaism today doesn't really teach the idea of heaven and hell, but they believed you went to Sheol, like this waiting place.
Yes.
Where you might just be forever, or you might be, there might be a judgment at the end of days.
Yeah, so this is closer to a description of Sheol, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's really cool because it says that the righteous souls wait in rest, while the unrighteous souls wait in torment.
Right.
So even if you're waiting to go to hell, it's still a torment. And if you're waiting to go to heaven, it's rest.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And this is wild because it fully connects with what I find one of the oddest, parables that Jesus tells in the Bible. And that is the rich man and Lazarus, where there are 2 men it says, the time came when a beggar died and the angels carried him to Abraham's side, which was another name for like Sheol, like the good place where the dead go. And that there was a rich man who also died, and he was there as well. And they saw each other from far away, and they're asking for, hey, can you call out to Abraham and ask him to have pity on me? This rich man who knew he was wicked. And Abraham replies and said, remember that in your lifetime you received good things while Lazarus received bad things.
Yeah.
And now he's comforted here and you're in agony. And there's a great chasm set in between you where you can't go here and he can't go here. And the rich man's like, please, can you tell my family, like warn them of like what's to come? And Abraham's like, they have the scriptures. Let them listen to them. And if someone goes, they will. He's like, no, but if somebody from the dead goes, then they'll really know that it's true and they'll repent. And Abraham's like, they didn't listen to the scriptures. Why would they be convinced when somebody rises from the dead?
Which is interesting because the first thing that the watchers on earth did after Enoch told them what was going to happen to them is they petitioned.
Yes.
They called out to the Lord, or they told Enoch to call to the Lord. So there's something within all eternal and non-eternal beings that says petition to the Lord, even if it seems vain and not worth it and like
Right.
it's going to have no effect. These souls are shouting out right now, crying out to the Lord on their own behalf
Right.
as to what's happening to them. And this is just a clear picture of that.
Right.
So I think that's a great comparison you
Yeah.
made.
Especially prior to Jesus, because now I believe that when you die, you either go to one of two places, heaven or hell. Because Jesus says to the sinner on the cross, you'll see me today in paradise.
Yeah.
But yeah, just another one of those, just like Jesus before, talking about like, don't you know the angels don't get married? And here he's talking as if everybody knows that everybody goes to this holding place where the good people are one side and the bad people are on the other, and they can't commingle.
Totally.
So another fascinating thing from Enoch that really gives a little bit of understanding to Jewish beliefs of the day that Jesus obviously believed in as well.
Yeah. So chapter 23, Enoch is taken further west and shown a fire that ran without resting. It definitely was westing. So Raguel, that's an interesting name of a watcher.
Yeah, and he's the angel who's over the luminaries, which is
Look
the
at
stars and the
you.
sun.
Heck yeah. So one of the whole heavenly angels told Enoch the fire was to persecute all the luminaries of heaven. Again, luminaries being a reference to heavenly beings, probably the ones who transgressed against the Lord. And then chapter 4 is
24.
24 is what could be another description of the abode of Yahweh. It is depicted as 7 mountains, with the largest being in the midst of the other 6 and having something resembling a throne on it, which has fragrant trees that surround it. Surround the throne, I mean.
Yes. Yeah, I thought this was so interesting because I'm talking about there being 7 mountains, but the one in the middle, and it's specifically called, even though it's in the middle, it's the 7th mountain, which leads to this idea of perfection or the best. That on top of it is a throne surrounded by trees, and that there's a specific tree, which Enoch said, I've never seen before. It had a wonderful fragrance, and its fruit was wonderful, and its leaves never withered. Like it was green year round. And he says, how beautiful is this tree? Which is interesting because this really ties into the idea of, in Genesis, the Garden of Eden, which was on a mountain. People don't always know that, but according to the passages, it talks about rivers flowing out of Eden, meaning that it is somewhere high up enough that something flow out of it. And we know that in the Garden of Eden, there was a tree that was different than the others, the tree of life. As well as in the book of Revelation 22, it talks about the New Jerusalem, the heavenly city, heaven coming to earth, that there's a tree that has wonderful fruit year round.
Very cool.
So just a little bit more connections.
I love that.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's chapters 13 through 24.
Yeah. So I hope you tracked a little bit with that.
If you guys want to read along with us, we'll be doing the next 12 chapters.
Yeah. We'll finish up the section that's the Book of the Watchers. And from there, I think things will be, I'm not going to say less complicated, but it'll just be a lot of stuff that, well, I don't know. We'll just be like, well, there's a bunch of stars and moons and things.
Yes, for sure. Cool.
Awesome.
Great job,
Do you have
babe.
any final thoughts connected to that?
I love chapter 15 about the description of what could be demons is what the souls of the Nephilim.
Yeah.
I always thought that was a cool idea.
Which in ancient Judaism was pretty much what they believed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. You have any favorite parts?
I think it's just interesting. I'm not saying it's all real or true by any means. I understand why it was not, known enough to be considered in the Bible, especially since we don't really know who wrote it. But I do find different things that, especially that Jesus said, it's like, well, the angels don't marry. And like, yeah, spirits have to find a home, and just things that kind of tie into the Book of Enoch. And the Book of Enoch was definitively written before Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he kind of references and quotes stuff from it. So Jesus read Enoch. So I think we shouldn't be too afraid to either.
Yeah.
Cool.
I agree.
All right, we're going to end with a quick recommend to our listeners. So, babe, what's something that you would like to recommend this week?
Pink Pony Club. It's a song we can't stop singing. I'm ashamed that I love it, but I do. It's by Sheppel Roan, and she is not somebody I want to endorse in the least.
Or even the lyrics of the song.
Not even the lyrics, not even the music video. It's awful. But it is the most catchy song.
Yes, we've been humming Pink Pony Club.
Oh my God. Yeah.
All week. I've been walking into briefings with my worship team.
Really?
Humming Pink Pony Club.
So that's my recommend. What about you?
I love that. I'm going to have to move this.
All right.
I want to recommend getting a Voss water. Caleb worked a job this last week, and it was this well-to-do guy who just drinks Voss water and had cases of it. So he brought a couple home. But I can't say the water tastes any better than, it tastes better than tap water, but it's probably not worth whatever $8 this is. But look at this. It's so cool.
It's a glass water bottle.
Glass.
It's insane.
With a little drink spout?
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's better. There's less microplastics leaching into your water.
Yeah.
And I just feel fancy.
You do feel fancy drinking it. You look you look great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You only brought me home one with like half the water in
so
it. So I had
sorry.
like 2 sips of
I
it.
forgot that I drank some.
It's all right.
By the end of the day, I was just popping them like regular plastic water bottles. So no, it's definitely good though. It's worth a try.
Living the large life. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for joining us this week on this interesting ride through Screen Time and Enoch and Water Bottles and Pink Pony Club. And we hope to see you again next week. And this has been
Stuff that we like / enjoy, at least at this point in time. Bye.